Hello and welcome to Central Television. I am Lekan Onabanjo. The top stories at this hour. Several students trapped at two-story structure collapses in Edo State. Nigeria government affirms Dangote refinery to sell exclusively to NNPCL. South Sudan postpones polls, extends transitional period. Details to come your way shortly. We start by telling you that the students' community at Ekosodin, Edo State, was thrown into panic on Saturday morning when a story building on Edo Street, Benin, the state capital, collapsed during the early morning downpour in the state. Ekosodin borders the University of Benin and has a huge student population, as those who cannot get accommodation in the school opt to live in the area. Some of the trapped students have been rescued while the search for others continues. One of the students at the scene said that a university rescue team managed to evacuate some of the trapped occupants, though several were severely injured. To politics now. Let's tell you that the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has declared he has no regrets for threatening action against any PDP-controlled state that undermines his authority. Addressing journalists, Wike promised never to support his successor, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, following escalating tensions between them. The rift intensified after the PDP National Working Committee handed control of the party structures in Rivers State to Wike, a move that sparked outrage within Fubara's camp. Wike criticized PDP governors for backing Fubara, accusing them of disregarding legal processes. While defending his strong rhetoric, Wike clarified that his comments were figurative, asserting that he would not tolerate interference in Rivers' political affairs. He added that he would not stand by while others attempt to undermine him. To discuss this, we are joined by a political analyst, Francis Chilaka. Mr. Chilaka, it's nice to have you around. Mr. Francis Chilaka, can you hear me? You can please unmute your device.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, good. We can hear you too now. So for you, how does past governor, or should I just say the new FCT minister, Wike's unapologetic stance impact his political capital and relationships with other PDP stakeholders, including party leaders and governors?
Well, you see, what is playing out right now in our political landscape is totally unacceptable. It simply shows that we're far from getting rid of godfatherism and getting rid of money politics. I find it very, very disgusting, find it very unacceptable that, Wike would want to hold an entire state by the jugular simply because he is a federal minister. I can tell you this for sure, that if Wike was not a minister, we won't have all this back and forth with Fubara. And it also shows the fact that Wike is kind of having a very strong influence on PDP for reasons best known to him and for reasons best known to those who have decided to hand over the structure of Rivers State to him. This is not good for democracy. It is actually not good for our own kind of democracy. But then, Nigeria is a country where anything goes. The political leaders believe that once they're elected, that they're all in all. So it's not about the people. It ends up being about the individuals that are holding on to power.
You talked about the influence of Wike, a strong influence of that sort in terms of the political structure of the PDP. And I'm wondering how one man against a national party would wield such influence. I'd like to understand what goes into someone having such kind of power and influence over a party like the PDP.
Well, if you remember, Secundus was put there as the party chairman, and I can tell you that he was It was Wike that solely made him a party chairman. So when Secondus and Wike had issues and he had to be removed, don't forget that the other members of the working committee who are also loyal to Wike were not removed. So you ended up removing just one man and leaving the other people, and the other people are very, very loyal to Wike. So Wike has had that influence because of those people he had planted, there. Take, for instance, in Edo State, when Obaseki had issues and, was running helter-skelter to come back as a second-term governor, it was Wike that came to his head. So these are things that has held our political our democracy down. When one person becomes a godfather, not only to some governors or some of his colleagues, but also to some of the National Working Committee members of the party. So it is all about money, it is all about influence, it's all about what the individuals involved would care for themselves. I mean, it doesn't really make sense that the National Working Committee of PDP, having considered all that has gone wrong in Rivers State between Fubara and Wike, and then you hand over the structure of the party to him. Who does that? You and I know that in any state, the governor of that state, of each state, is actually the leader of the party in that state. So now, what you find out is an aberration of what we're used to. Maybe because he's a minister and because they believe he has the federal might behind him. So I'm sure in the coming days, we will get to know why the National Working Committee of the party cannot actually discipline Wike for anti-party activities.
So can Nigeria continue to believe in such a democracy where certain figures or political figures act with impunity without consequences?
Well, that is why I said we need to build strong institutions. Unfortunately, we do not have institutions in Nigeria. We're not even running a democratic system, because democracy is about the people. Power belongs to the people. We're not running democracy. What we are running is just few individuals who have amassed wealth from the purse of the generality of the people and using that wealth to hold the people down. That's why there's so much poverty, there's so much hunger in the land, and the political class are not bothered. It is not a good sign for democracy in Nigeria, because with time you will find out that anybody who has so much money can actually wield so much power. And that is why even today you find out people who are non-state actors, being more available, being more forceful, being, challenging even the real state actors. It is all because of the importance we have attached money to our political system.
So finally, now there are some elections that will be coming up in some states. There's the general elections that will be coming up in 2027. How do you think the influence of Wike and his political theatrics would actually affect the party in these elections?
Well, obviously, it played out in 2023 where Wike did not support his own party candidate. And as it is now, everybody, Nigerians, maybe the political class don't believe, but Nigerians know that the loyalty and allegiance of Wike lies with the APC. He has one foot in APC, he has another foot in PDP. In other words, his body is in PDP, but his soul is in APC. So, and that is why even in Edo State, the PDP, they're already complaining that how can you bring somebody who is an ally of Wike to become the electoral commissioner? It is not acceptable. See, this whole thing that is playing out is actually endangering our democracy. It is not good for our democracy. Things need to change. Those who vie for positions, those who are in positions of authority should realize that it is high time we take away money from politics and we allow people to be elected based on their integrity, based on their track record. This idea of imposition, this idea of federalism needs to go in order for us to have a proper democratic system.
To that point in our political journey as a country. Thank you so much, Francis Chilaka, for sharing your thoughts with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, some residents in Edo State have tasked the police to be neutral and fair in its efforts to maintain law and order during the build-up to the state governorship election. The group, during a peaceful walk to the State Police Command, sympathized with the police over the death of its personnel when the state's Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu, was attacked by hoodlums following his reinstatement by the Court of Appeal in Abuja. They urged the police to shun being used by the political class so as not to mar the credibility of the upcoming poll.
We are not saying police should not arrest they that commit crime, those that have committed crime, should not use that avenue to help some political bigwigs to begin to intimidate, harass, and dampen the morals of common Edo people that want to cast their vote. The politics is already very, very high, heating up. There's a lot of apprehension in the street. We are in the street. That's why we are speaking to you, sir.
And I want to assure you and reassure you that we are neutral.
Thank you, sir.
Nigeria police, other security agencies, we are neutral. And we are going to make sure that the election is conducted in a very peaceful environment.
Away from that, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited will be the sole buyer of premium motor spirits from the Dangote refinery. This was disclosed by the Finance Minister, Wale Edun, during a press briefing in Abuja. According to the minister, marketers interested in purchasing PMS will have to source it through NNPCL's trading arm. The agreement outlines the terms for crude oil supply to the refinery and the distribution of petrol and diesel. Despite earlier statements from NNPCL, the government will maintain control over pricing. Starting from Sunday, Dangote refinery will supply 25 million litres of petrol daily. By October 1, NNPCL will commence crude oil supply to the refinery with payments for both crude and refined products made in Naira. Staying with the oil sector, operatives of the Inspector General of Police Special Task Force on Petroleum and Illegal Bunkering have uncovered an illegal petroleum refinery in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Force Public Relations Officer Odumuyiwa Adejobi described the findings as a significant breakthrough in the continuous fight against oil theft, illegal bunkering, and economic sabotage. Adejobi said the operation had led to the arrest of 4 suspects and the recovery of 40,000 litres of petroleum products stored in 67 wide storage tanks. The force PRO added that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has re-emphasized the commitment for the force to tackling every form of crime, criminality, and corruption, extending to those involved in this economic sabotage.
IGP Special Task Force on Petroleum and Illegal Bunkering operatives bust illegal petroleum refinery, arrest 4 suspects. As IGP re-echoes fight against economic saboteurs, the operatives of the Special General Police Special Task Force on Petroleum and Illegal Bunkering have once again made a significant breakthrough in the continuous fight against oil theft, illegal bunkering, and economic sabotage. This milestone achievement was marked after the operatives, in collaboration with the Department of Operations, Rivers State Police Command, on 12th September 2024, made discovery of a storage facility in Trans-Amadi, Port Harcourt, Rivers State, used in dealing and processing illegally acquired crude oil.
It's now time for a break. When we return, the Nigerian government warns of imminent overflow of rivers Niger and Benue, plus update on the flood situation in Borno State. To join us again. Many thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian government has issued a warning about the potential overflow of the Niger and Benue rivers as the country grapples with the aftermath of recent flooding in Maiduguri, Borno State. The Minister of Water Resources, Professor Joseph Utsev, sounded the alarm during a press briefing in Abuja, urging southern regions to brace for possible floods. The overflow of the Alau Dam, driven by the Ngada River, caused severe flooding in Maiduguri and Jere. According to the 2024 Annual Flood Outlook, 31 states are identified as high risk, including Borno, Bauchi, and Benue. A team of experts is currently assessing the damage at Alau Dam, with recommendations expected soon. The government is calling for increased vigilance to prevent further disasters. And now to update on the flood situation in Borno State. The Nigerian government has attributed the recent flooding in Borno State to climate change and prolonged heavy rainfall, dispelling early reports that linked the disaster to the collapse of Alau Dam. Water Resources Minister Professor Joseph Utsev clarified that Borno is one of 31 high-risk states identified for potential flooding earlier this year. According to the National Emergency Management Agency, the floods have claimed over 30 lives and displaced 400 people since Tuesday. Professor Utsev also announced plans to upgrade the Alau Dam, which was built in 1986, to prevent future disasters, warning that any delay or substandard work on the project will face sanctions. The dam, with a capacity of 112 million cubic meters, supplies water for irrigation and domestic use in Maiduguri. Meanwhile, the Borno State Police Command has confirmed the recovery of 11 bodies following recent floods in various parts of the state. In a statement, the supervising police public relations officer for the Northeast, Ahmed Wakil, said joint efforts led by CP Yusufu Mohammed Lawal have been addressing the flood disaster in Maiduguri. However, 11 decomposed bodies were found during rescue operations, which are still ongoing. The drowned bodies were recovered in areas including Lamisula, Jere, GRA, Bulambulin, and Dandal between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. local time on between September 11 and 12, 2024. Now, the founder and chief executive of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has donated 2 billion naira to support victims of the recent flood disaster in Maiduguri, Borno State. Aliko Dangote made the donation when he visited Maiduguri alongside the governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, and a delegation from NNPC Limited towards hastening recovery efforts. New Central Somali Kirawa reports that prominent Nigerian figures like business leaders and political figures have stepped forward to provide aid.
We have the Presidential Committee on Flood and Flood Disaster. That committee, which I chair, they've already committed about 1 billion naira. And then Aliko Dangote Foundation will also give another 1 billion. We will continue to mobilize other funds and sources to see what we can do to alleviate the suffering of our people. So definitely, this 2 billion will give it as early as possible.
Aliko Dangote for all the support that he has been rendering towards uplifting the standard of living of the displaced communities in Borno State since 2009 to date. The establishment of gas power plant alone in Borno State is something that the entire people of Borno State are hearing the GMD and his team for its establishment in Borno State, in addition to the numerous contributions that he has been rendering. I want to pray that Almighty Allah will bless him and bless his family, bless NNPC, Nigeria Limited, bless the delegation that came from far to summit to contribute your quota to the alleviation of the sufferings of the flood victims.
Now to security matters, Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborewori has dismissed his senior special assistant on special duties, Eritayan Eradajaye, with immediate effect. Eradajaye, who also served as the chairman of the Adadrasa Ugolo Community, Okwa local government area of the state, was removed from his position following accusations of involvement in the murder of one Sam Akemo over a land-related dispute in the community. The conflict allegedly escalated, leading to Eradajaye's loyalists reportedly beating and stabbing Akemo, resulting in his death. In a statement on Thursday, Secretary to the State Government, Kingsley Emo, confirmed Eradajaye's dismissal. Meanwhile, the State Commissioner of Police, Olufemi Abaniwanda, has ordered the arrest of the former aide in connection with the murder of Sam Akemo.
As it stands now, we are still looking for the community chairman who is presently at large. The Commissioner of Police Delta State, the person of CP Olufemi Abaniwanda, is assuring members of the public that in this case, justice must be served. He has mandated the DPO to go all out to ensure that the fleeing suspect is arrested and the case properly investigated, cause of the fight unraveled, and whoever is guilty will be brought to justice.
Stakeholders have agreed that the importance of journalists in the society cannot be overemphasized. As the fourth estate of the realm, they help to form a strong foundation in building a better nation. This position was reiterated as members of the Nigeria Union of Journalists in Plateau State marked their 2024 Press Week. News Central's Chizoba Yonwe was at the event and now tells us more.
Stakeholders and indeed sons and daughters of Plateau were present at the week-long event by the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Plateau State Council, to mark the 2024 NUJ Week with community service, medical outreach, and a colloquium, which was the highlight of the Press Week. Amidst Nigeria's economic crisis, the quest for good governance was the topic of the colloquium. The guest speaker, Ezekiel Gomos, in his speech at the colloquium, said the only way out of Nigeria's economic crisis remains a curve to transparency in governance, among others.
Accountability, transparency, combating corruption, participation of citizens in governance and development process, legal judicial reforms, and reducing the cost of governance. When we do that, we can get where we want to go. Unless we agree to do that, we'll continue to have crisis in our hands.
Other stakeholders at the event had some words for the men of the pen.
And as a government, we'll continue to synergize with the NUJ to bring the dividends of democracy to Plateau people.
I can therefore say confidently that without journalists, society will not witness the growth that comes with freedom, diversity, morality, peace, and tolerance.
The only advice I offer is that you should be neutral, as many of you have demonstrated. Don't allow yourself to be used by politicians.
To say that Nigerians are going through a most challenging, if not agonizing, economic period is no exaggeration. Feeding is becoming more and more difficult. Transportation, healthcare, school fees, rent have gotten beyond the reach of most citizens. As reporters, I pause here to ask, what is our responsibility in this regard?
A medical outreach was one of the major events of the Press Week, which was not restricted to members alone. The annual event is set aside to honor and celebrate the strides of journalists in the state, as well as draw attention to various ills they equally pass through in the course of their job. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
Let's now tell you that Nigeria's federal government says that it will create thousands of jobs for youths in the compressed natural gas value chain. This was made known during a two-day youth summit organized by the National Automotive Design and Development Council in collaboration with the Office of the Special Assistant to the President on Youth Initiatives, Monitoring and Delivery, Senior officials at the summit urged youths across the country to key into the opportunities being created by government. Amadin Uyi tells us more.
It was a 2-day youth summit on harnessing youth potentials and career prospects within the Nigeria automotive sector. The event, organized by the National Automotive Design and Development Council in collaboration with the Office of the Special Assistant to the President on Youth Initiatives, Monitoring and Delivery. The NADDC says that it has commenced an initiative expected to equip young Nigerians with relevant skills so that they can take advantage of opportunities in the compressed natural gas value chain.
We have 250,000 vehicles to be converted annually. That is the target. And if that is the case, it then means that there is a lot of job opportunities in that value chain for young people.
It is not only timely, it is needed, because looking at the number of young people, all we need at this critical point in time is to equip them with the skills, the knowledge, the network, and the resources for them. Many of them have what it takes to excel. All they need is to get that push, to get that support, and with initiatives like this, the narrative is going to be changed, and it's going to be changed for good.
The conversion center in Abuja is already launched by the president, and we're going to have additional conversion center all over the federation. Within this period, when the palliative program will be running under the PCNG initiative, 55,000 conversions are expected to be covered. So now, young people have an opportunity to train on how to take charge of these conversions down to the grassroots.
Senior officials present say the initiative will create immense job opportunities amongst Nigeria's youthful population.
We have 774 local government, if I'm not mistaken. So if we are able to train at least 10 young people at the local government level to undertake this, we can already imagine the number of jobs we'll be able to create at those levels.
The Minister of State for Youth Development urged Nigerian youths to shun excuses and take advantage of opportunities made available by government.
I've made up my mind, majority of us have made up our mind, that it's all about work, work, and work. That it is time for the youth of this country to see the government. It is time for the youth of this country to feel the government. And it is time for the youth of this country to touch the government.
The minister also urged youth to trust in government's ability to address their concerns. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Away from Nigeria's seat of power to southwest. Now, on Thursday, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, launched the Lagos State Carbon Registry as part of efforts to reduce gas emissions and tackle climate change. The Carbon Registry aims to track and manage the state's carbon emissions, providing a critical tool for mitigating climate change and fostering environmental sustainability. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would say welcome to the future of carbon reporting in Nigeria.
The Lagos Sustainability Summit, convened by the Lagos State Office of Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, Lagos State Safety Commission and the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, aims to advance the vision of a resilient and sustainable Lagos. The summit seeks to foster partnerships, promote best practices, and explore innovative solutions to ensure environmental quality, public safety, and the well-being of Lagosians.
In 2015, the United Nations member states signed onto the SDGs. It was a collective agreement to say we are going to face these challenges. We are, of course, aware of the resources and the complexities that will come with it. It was a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by year 2030.
The unveiling of the Carbon Registry emerged as a game changer in the fight against climate change, offering industries a transparent mechanism to monitor and offset their carbon emissions while unlocking opportunities to access carbon credits.
Over a course of 5-6 years, or said 9 years, we should have reduced our emissions by 25%. It helps us calculate accurately the amount of emissions people emit or people release into the atmosphere. It helps air pollution. Air pollution is indeed a problem in Lagos. I know almost half of this hall has called us for noise pollution, but air pollution is a real problem.
The Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, while representing the governor, noted that partnership and collective responses to climate change, poverty, and inequality will shape the future of Lagos, Nigeria, and the world at large.
As one of the fastest growing cities in the world, Lagos faces unique challenges and extraordinary opportunities. So the question before us is very clear. How do we ensure that our city thrives in the face of rapid urbanization, climate change with various challenges that it brings, and the tendency for financial inequalities? The answer, to our mind, lies in resilience and the ability to adapt and innovate, which is sustainability. In that case, we must all call for long-term solutions that benefit not just today's citizens, but generations to come.
The summit served as a platform for in-depth discussions aimed at driving innovation and collaboration to achieve these sustainability goals. By focusing on these areas, Lagos says it is poised to become a model of sustainable urban development, not just in Nigeria, but also across Africa. In Lagos, for News Central, I'm Bettina Unwili.
And back to Abuja, the Palestinian government has accused the American government of being complicit in the murder of an American activist, Esina Ayi, in the West Bank. The Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria, while speaking to newsmen in Abuja, says that the late activist was murdered by Israeli forces using American weapons, a situation that has complicated the war in Gaza. He accused the U.S. government of paying lip service to wide-scale human rights violations in Gaza and hypocrisy over its claim of defending democracy around the world.
Even the death toll had risen to 41,000, with 95,000 wounded and 10,000 still missing under the rubble and the streets. Additionally, 10,400 Palestinians have been arrested and kidnapped since the beginning of the Israeli war, all of whom are subjected to the most severe form of ill treatment, torture, and medical neglect. Last Friday, American weapons in the hand of the Israeli killed American activist Aysanir Isga Eko, AC, in the occupied West Bank while she was expressing solidarity with the Palestinian people. The question here.
Coming up on the news. United Nations says displaced women in Sudan's war in desperate need of protection. We will tell you more after the break. To join us again. Earlier on the news, when we brought you details as regards the flood that ravaged some parts of Borno State, precisely Maiduguri, we told you that a couple of senior citizens and influential businessmen in the country donated monies and aids to the families and victims affected by the flood. And so we have someone on ground who has been involved in the rescue operations. I'm talking about Sirajo Abdullah, who is the Northeast Zonal Coordinator, National Emergency Management Agency. Will be talking to us to let us understand what the situation is as regards the rescue operations in the state. Mr. Abdullah, can you hear me? Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yes, good afternoon all. Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so we can hear and see you too. Can you give us an update as regards the rescue operation in the parts of Maiduguri affected by the flood?
The update is that today it's improving because the water has been receding If you can see my background, right now I'm at the College of Agric and 505 Axis. This is the last point where you can reach because there are boats down there, and you can see thousands of people coming in.
Okay.
They're actually trooping in. We have a point where the boats can't go beyond. There are other stakeholders, the Nigerian Army. We also have the Borno State government and a lot of partners here doing the evacuation, NEMA inclusive. So they are bringing people out, and at the camps, we also have profiling ongoing at the designated camps by the Borno State government, where wet feeding is ongoing, profile and registration.
Okay, so we understand that monies and other relief items have been donated to those who have been rescued so far. I'd like to get details as regards how these people are settling in and how they're being catered for.
How the people are catered for?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay, yes, the Borno State government, as I said, is actually handling the wet feeding ration in the camps. Meanwhile, NEMA has also been providing medical consumables, and we have also the medical intensive care unit, which has been going around the camps, also providing water, and we also have some prepositioning of materials at the moment. We keyed into the central coordination of the state also, so that we avoid duplication. Because at the moment, you can't get dry rations. So we're only doing the wet feeding in the identified camps.
Okay, so we are also aware that the Nigerian government has made calls for plans to be optimized in terms of ensuring that situations like this are brought under control. I'm even talking about proactive measures now. Of course, in your own, from your own side, how you see it as an expert when it comes to dealing with disasters like this, how do you think that people, state governments, and of course those within the fold can actually mitigate the impact of flood, whether or not it occurs?
I'm really sorry, the place is noisy. You said how can we avoid such
how to mitigate the impact? Yes, how to mitigate the impact of floods on lives and property.
Well, I'm a humanitarian worker, and I think we received actually seasonal climate predictions from NIMET and also NISA in February and also in April of this year. There were predictions that there's going to be heavy flow of water. So I think the constant monitoring of the dams, coordinating between the states and the federal governments and the local governments, giving information on the level of water, and I believe also have experts, engineers that will be able to advise, because we've never seen this volume of water before.
Okay, so finally, sir, what can be done in terms of the repairs that we've heard will be carried out along, most especially the Alau Dam area and some bridges that have been affected? How soon do we expect some repair works to be carried out to actually push back the flow of the floods?
We're actually at the raining season, and with the heavy flow of water, I doubt if an emergency repair can be done immediately. As I said, I believe we have experts, engineers, both at the federal and the state governments. I believe they will be able to advise the government more properly on how to avoid future occurrence.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Sirajo Abdullah, for your humanitarian endeavor when it comes to saving lives. We appreciate that, and we wish you all the best. Thank you. Let's now head to East Africa, where South Sudan has announced a two-year postponement of its much-anticipated elections, extending the transitional period outlined in the peace agreement. Originally slated for December 2024, the elections will now take place in December 2026. The delay is attributed to unfinished tasks crucial for the vote, including drafting a national constitution and unifying the rival forces of President Salva Kiir and Vice President Riek Machar. Cabinet Affairs Minister Martin Elia Lomuro said the decision was based on recommendations from electoral and security bodies. The international community, including the United Nations, has voiced frustration over the delay, citing concerns over funding shortages and a lack of operational readiness. Since gaining independence in 2011, South Sudan has faced persistent instability. We also tell you that a United Nations official has highlighted the dire conditions facing women and girls fleeing Sudan's civil war, stating they are stripped of their basic necessities and struggling to find food, water, and safety. Regional Director at the UN Population Fund, Leila Baker, described the situation as one of the ugliest she has ever witnessed. Baker painted a grim picture of overcrowded shelters, lacking clean water, food, and medical care. The 16-month conflict between rival generals has claimed tens of thousands of lives and displaced over 10 million people. Speaking from Jordan, Baker recalled meeting a 20-year-old woman in Port Sudan who quietly revealed she had been raped. Baker condemned the chronic underfunding of humanitarian efforts in the region. Other continents will tell you that the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and US President Joe Biden have delayed a decision to let Ukraine fire long-range Western-supplied missiles into Russia, a plan that sparked dire threats from Moscow of a war with NATO. Starmer told reporters at the White House that he had a wide-ranging discussion about strategy with Biden, but it wasn't a meeting about particular capability. Before the meeting, officials had said Starmer would press Biden to back his plan to send British Storm Shadow missiles to Ukraine to hit deeper inside Russia as allies become increasingly concerned about the battlefield situation.
Well, we had a wide-ranging discussion about strategy in Ukraine, of course, in the Middle East, and other parts of the world. This wasn't a meeting about a particular capability. That wasn't why we got our heads down today. It was to allow ourselves the space which we took, the time which we took, to have a strategic discussion so that tactical decisions can be seen within the wider strategy. And it was a really good invitation from the President. We've had a very productive, and we've come to a strong position. I'm very pleased that we've had these discussions.
In sports, Nigerian forward Victor Osimhen is set to make his debut for Galatasaray when they host Seiko Rizespor at the Rams Park in Istanbul on Saturday. Osimhen joined the Turkish Super League champions on a season-long loan deal from Napoli 2 weeks ago. The 25-year-old trained with his Galatasaray teammates for the first time on Thursday after returning from international duty. The forward was on target in Nigeria's 3-0 victory over Benin Republic last Saturday. Osimhen will be desperate to hit the ground running at his new club to enhance his status as one of the best strikers in the world. Galatasaray currently occupies second position on the Super League table with 9 points from 3 games. We now tell you that the funeral program for Olympic marathon runner Rebecca Cheptegei, who was killed after being set on fire by her ex-boyfriend Dixon Ndiema, has commenced in Uganda. Cheptegei was attacked by Ndiema with gasoline outside a room in neighboring northwest Kenya, not far from her training location. Cheptegei is now receiving full military honors at the ceremony in Uganda, having been a member of the armed forces there. Her funeral program on Saturday started with local leaders in Bukwo, Cheptegei's home district, holding a memorial service. Activists joined the march in Eldoret, Kenya, as Cheptegei's body begins its final journey to a family home in Bukwo, Uganda, for her funeral. They observed a moment of silence and gave a standing ovation as they paid their respects to the late athletes. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we'll take a look at some of our top stories. Several students have been trapped as two-story structure collapse in Edo State. Nigeria government has affirmed Dangote refinery to sell exclusively to NNPCL. We also told you that South Sudan has postponed polls, extended transitional period. You can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on your screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Arvel TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekan Onabanjo.